Hi, my name is Shannon Geraghty. I am a middle school art teacher at Netzeberg Middle School in Germany. And this is the hope that we will be collecting and sharing many more art videos just like this. Today I'm going to do a demo for you and you're going to follow along and create a sketchbook. Okay, so the plan today is to show you how to make this crazy kind of wonky sketchbook. It's a lot of folding, but it's a lot of fun. And then in the end, I'm going to show you how to utilize it for your classrooms. Everyone was asked to bring a piece of paper to the training today, and I do this sketchbook with a very large sheet of paper. It is a 18 by 24 sheet of paper. So this is how I do it in class, but you can still do it with a little tiny sheet of paper too. You'll need scissors, a pencil, and a ruler, and then you can just do it with a regular sheet of paper if you don't have a large sheet with you. Before we get started, I want to make sure that none of you are thinking I'm now required to make sketchbooks in my classroom. This is not a required. Dodds is going to make me make sketchbooks. This is just one of many possibilities, and we're going to talk later about how we can tie all these possibilities to our new standards. So I'm just trying to show you one cool thing you can do with your classroom or in your classroom, and then later we'll talk about how it ties to the Smithsonian resources that we have and a new resource called Art Store, and how we can tie our new standards with kind of cool stuff we do in our classroom. Okay, so I'm going to start with our large sheet of paper, and we're going to do a big hamburger fold. I would say hamburger is this way, hot dog is this way. So we're going to start with hamburger. So I'm going to hamburger fold one time. And I always tell my students it's important to line up your edges and your corners or you're going to end up with a wonky looking sketchbook. So I do one hamburger fold, and then I'm going to fold the folded edge to my cut edge. So two hamburger folds. So you get this. Then you're going to open it all the way back up again, turn it to portrait, and then you're going to do a hot dog fold. And you're going to do that twice as well. Again, here it's harder to line up your edges because it's already folded. Picking up the folded edge and folding it back to the cut edge. And then opening that all up again, and I don't know if you can see, but you should be able to see all the different folded edges because we're going to eventually cut on those edges. One additional option before you do the cutting, maybe for your high school kids or for your overachievers, is before you cut but after you fold it, they draw a big design, and it doesn't have to be anything. So like an abstract design that kind of covers all the paper that they then will eventually come back to once it's folded. So after I do this, I would cut the spiral, but then after it's been cut, because the paper uses both sides, or because the sketchbook uses both sides of the paper, as I work my way through, I'm going to come to a part, and then I can turn that into whatever I want. It's the inspiration for what they could draw. So as an example, I started a sketchbook, and I think I started with this circle and this little part, and so then I turned it into something. The same back here, I think we skipped over another page. I turned in what I started as an abstract into then a concrete design. So that gives the kids a little bit more guidance as to what they draw. Also another possibility is as they're drawing, is that their drawings, whatever they start to draw, then it extends to the next page, and then they have to continue on to the next page. This is for kids that kind of understand the concept of the sketchbook. Not meant for elementary. I think that's a little bit too abstract of thought for them. But I think some of my students, when I've started a drawing and then I extend it upon, then it continues their thought process. After all the folding is completed, I have my middle school students grab a ruler because they're not great at drawing straight lines. And they are going to line up the ruler against folded edges so they know where to cut. We're eventually going to cut around in kind of a blocky spiral, but lines are important so they can see what they're cutting since they don't always cut straight lines. So I'm lining up my ruler with this first fold, and then I'm going to draw up 3 folds. So I start at the bottom and I draw up 1 fold, 2 fold, 3 fold. Then I'm going to go over 2 folds, again lining up my ruler with the folded edge. 1, 2, Then I'm gonna come down to lining up again my ruler with the fold. 1 fold, 2 folds. Then I'm gonna go in 1 and up to the center. And that's where I would stop cutting. Quite literally, you're gonna cut right along that line. I always tell students to make long cuts, not the little jagged cuts, because if you make the little jagged cuts, it looks jagged and wonky. And we are aiming to teach our kids a little bit about craftsmanship. I also have to tell my middle schoolers to turn the paper, because they will try to turn their arm instead of turning their paper. Okay, so now it's cut. Okay, so we're gonna do a fan fold. You are gonna do the opposite, so over, under, so it's gonna turn out looking like this sketchbook. So I always start with the natural fold that folds over first. So whatever way your paper folds naturally, go with nature. So I fold over first, and I'm re-creasing it because I really want to have that crease so the book lays flat. Then I'm gonna go under, over. Even when I turn the corner, so my last was over, so now I go under, over, under. You can see I didn't cut very well. Over, under, over. And last. And now I've got my little sketchbook. So I'm going to show you how I number the book. I have my middle schoolers number it so they understand how the sketchbook works, because it's not just a front to back sketchbook. They need to understand how to make their way through the book. You might need to modify for elementary, maybe not numbering at all, but I feel like it's helpful for the kids to understand how to make their way through their sketchbook by putting numbers on the pages. What I always do is I start with writing front and then the direction in which I'm going to turn the book. So I'm starting with it portrait, and this is my front. So when I open it, we don't ever put numbers on the inside of a front cover, so I always write front cover so the kids know inside front cover. So they know that's like, I'm not gonna do anything to that page. So then I start just regular numbering. And then as I turn, you're gonna see how there's folded pages. You're not gonna try to unfold it. So when it opens and it lays flat, then you number. You'll get pages that are super tied together, but you don't try to take it apart. When it lays flat, it's a new page. And you keep working your way, see again, don't try to unfold. Work your way through the sketchbook. So now I'm to the back. See, it doesn't say front on it. I'm on the back side. And I always write, I do this with my kiddos because otherwise they get confused. And again, I'm gonna open it like a normal book opens. This is gonna be the inside back cover. And then, oh, what was my last number? 7. So then I continue to number 8. And I'm gonna get back to the front. We're not done yet. I'm gonna turn it to portrait, and now I'm gonna open it again this way. So I ended on 16, so I'm gonna continue. And this time, it's not the cover that I'm going to, so I'm gonna start numbering right away, because you can see it, there's the cover that we'd numbered before. Okay, so now I'm to the back again. I'm gonna open it again like a regular old book. I always forget the numbers. You should get 28 pages. If you don't, you either skipped a number or you numbered your covers. So the last thing that I always have my students do, and I know that you guys are all over the world, so I can't require you to bring glue and different types of paper, but when I make these sketchbooks with my students, I take cardstock that fits the size of the cover. So this is a 4.5 by 6 inch sheet of paper, and I merely just glue it on. So making sure that the kids get all of the edges, because the edges, you know, middle schoolers and their binders and their lockers, they fall apart easily. So lining up that piece of paper gives the actual cover just a little bit more stability. And then that keeps that sketchbook a little bit stronger. And then they do a design on the front. Like I showed you my design that I did earlier. I have them put their name on it. So, because they all look the same, we all need to know who it belongs to. I make them tell me a little bit about themselves. So this is my little sketchbook about me. These are the materials that I use. But making sure the covers are on there to give it more stability. I hope you've enjoyed my little demo of how to make sketchbooks. I hope you all have enough supplies now to make your own, and then hopefully make a lesson that can tie our new art standards to making a sketchbook. Thanks for your time.